Hello everyone, I'm Mukai from Alps Dental. My dentures hurt. They keep falling out. Eating has become a struggle. Many people are living with these kinds of concerns. So why do these problems happen? Over the course of this 11-part series, I'd like to introduce you to the world of dentures from the perspective of the maker. We'll cover everything from the challenges of taking impressions to the craft of artificial teeth, aesthetics, and even how AI and 3D technology are opening up new ways to create dentures. I believe that once you understand what goes into it, you never see dentures quite the same way again. Since my grandfather's time, we've always said, in denture making, the entrance and the exit are everything. There are two major hurdles in creating a denture. The first is the difficulty of taking an accurate impression. The second is shrinkage that occurs during finishing. Even if you take a perfect impression, the pink gum-colored resin shrinks ever so slightly as it sets. If the entrance is distorted, the exit goes wrong too. This is what makes dentures so difficult to get right. Let's work through each challenge one by one. Now then, today we'll talk about that first step, the impression. First, take a look at this. This patient's gum ridge has no height at all. After years of wearing a full denture and bearing heavy biting forces, the bone underneath has been absorbed, leaving the upper gum tissue soft and almost jelly-like. And here, by contrast, is a ridge that still has some height. It looks more defined, but press on it and it moves. There are all kinds of ridges out there, and what's striking is just how unstable the foundation is that the denture has to sit on. When we look at the mucosa through a transparent denture, you can really see it. Apply pressure and the tissue deforms. Blood is pushed away. Release that pressure and the blood flows back. The soft tissue inside the mouth is remarkably compressible. It changes shape with even the slightest pressure. Taking an impression of something that changes like this, that's the real challenge. For denture impressions, we use the same type of impression materials as for tooth preparations. Silicone-based materials are commonly used since we need to capture the mucosa broadly and deeply. But as you can see, silicone putty is simply too stiff. Even if the border comes out wide and deep, the gum tissue underneath gets compressed and distorted, and you end up with a model that doesn't truly fit. Then there's the border of the denture. That's another challenge entirely. Just how far out should it extend? The larger it is, the more stable and comfortable. But the tongue, cheeks, and lips are constantly moving, often without us even noticing. Go too large and problems arise, specifically with the frenums, the small bands of tissue connecting the lips and cheeks to the gum. Every time the patient speaks or swallows, those frenums spring forward. That movement doesn't show up on the working model, but inside the mouth, it causes real interference. Even when the fitting surface is accurate, the denture dislodges, or the frenum gets compressed and causes pain. A gum ridge that moves. A denture border that has to adapt. Getting the shape right is no simple task. This is where tissue conditioner Too Soft comes in. It's a rather unusual material. Its unique setting mechanism allows it to faithfully reproduce the behavior of soft, compressible tissue. It has this remarkable softness. Load it onto the tray, place it in the mouth, and watch what happens. Caught between the resilient mucosa and the tray, the material flows and shifts under pressure, relieving it rather than trapping it. This pressure-relieving property is what makes it so effective for impressioning soft tissue. As the spongy mucosa tries to return to its natural shape, the material captures that form. Even more remarkable is the technique called border molding using T-Con Too Soft. Load it onto the tray, seat it in the mouth, and ask the patient to say oo and ee and to move their lips. And then those very muscle movements are captured directly in the impression. In other words, we can record a denture border that stays in place even as the muscles around the mouth move. This is truly groundbreaking. Traditional impressions are all about precisely copying the shape of a prepared tooth. But what about a mouth with no teeth at all? The tongue, the cheeks, the lips, they are constantly moving when we talk, when we eat. And the gum tissue itself is soft. The mucosa deforms under pressure. What we truly need is an impression material capable of capturing movement and soft tissue deformation at the same time. That new way of thinking gave rise to T-Con Too Soft. And so we can now take impressions that reproduce even the dynamic behavior of soft gum tissue. But here's the thing. Even a perfect impression can be undone at the other end. The second hurdle, shrinkage during finishing. Next time, we'll explore how the latest 3D printing technology is being used to overcome this challenge. If this gave you a new perspective, I hope you'll join me for the next episode. Thank you so much for watching.